think that one of the great things about Daredevil, and I think one of the reasons why the TV show is so great, is because Street Hero, as a street hero, along with Luke Cage, I really also enjoyed the Luke Cage TV series. You can address, you can address the, I mean, I guess one of the problems with the translation of superheroes into other media is the spandex suit.
Yes.
It's too bright, it's too silly, it's too, sort of ridiculous. And unless your point is that it's ridiculous, it's a bit hard to do. So I think that they did a beautiful job with Daredevil's suit and integrating him, making it darker and using lighting and integrating him into the street. I remember, and I absolutely adore Charlie Cox and Vince D'Onofrio, their devotion to Daredevil. And I was honored to meet them at a Comic-Con and was shocked to know, yep, they know who the writers are. They know who the writers and artists are. So to bring it back to Daredevil, because of the TV show coming out, that was one of the things that Johnny Romita Jr. and I would talk about all the time, which was, how can we have the action have a powerful impact conceptually and not be just gratuitous? On the other hand, I actually love comics where it's just the action is just fun.
You have
But
talked a great deal about the fact that, there is the punch and what's behind the punch is even more important. And it's not violence for the sake of violence. Forgive me for sounding a bit controversial, but you had the opportunity to work on Spider-Woman comics. I believe
oh yeah, and I killed her. Talk
yes,
about gratuitous violence.
like you mentioned it, we had Luke Cage, we had Jessica Jones, and most importantly, in your case, we had Iron Fist. Why am I saying Iron Fist? Is because Iron Fist season 2 gave us your character, Typhoid Mary.
When Netflix had a deal with Marvel to produce shows, and they had a showrunner who was exceptional talent, Loeb, Joe,
Jeff Loeb,
Jeff
Jeff
Loeb.
Loeb and Kareem Zarek.
Yes, absolutely exceptional talent, people who came out of comics, who understood comics and television. And, the rumor was that Typhoid was going to just start in Iron Fist and then go into the different TV shows and end up in Daredevil.
What defines Frank Miller's work for Daredevil and what defines Ann Nocenti's work for Daredevil?
I had different obsessions than Frank did. And I was definitely, and for one thing, I think that because my brother was a lawyer and I was interested in the legal system,
Right.
I just sort of naturally put Matt in the courtroom more often. And even when taking his license away and having him run a legal aid clinic, because the social justice thing for me was if you can't afford a lawyer, where do you go?
Right.
So that came right out of the street, and it came out of my life being more and probably, I mean, courtroom dramas are notoriously boring, and especially boring in an action adventure comic. So who knows what he was thinking? Maybe he was thinking avoid the lawyer courtroom side and bring in ninjas and action and Japanese film being influenced by Kurosawa and Zatoichi and all that. And also, he had done all the religious stuff. You don't want to follow, even though I also am a lapsed Catholic, you don't want to follow religion with religion. Charlie Cox as Daredevil, to a certain degree, heroes have to be completely relatable. They have to be kind of like an everyman.
Right.
It's like the protagonist has to be someone that you want to follow and that is very relatable. And I think that he does a brilliant job at bringing the humanity and warmth and flexibility, because Daredevil is flexibility, whereas Vince D'Onofrio was given, the kingpin. So there's a gravitas that he brings to the. It's almost. I just was writing a Thanos story. I was writing not Thanos, a Galactus story.
Yes.
I wrote a Galactus story where Rogue becomes Galactus's herald, and she just is like, she's just got that southern sass, and she's right up in his face.
Right.
And but when I was writing in the plot, and I wrote to the artist, I wrote, shoot Galactus, like, when you're drawing, put the camera at his feet and shoot up and have everything kind of bend around him, because you want even the just physical presence of him to seem to bend the world around him. So Vince D'Onofrio, he walks into a scene and the whole world bends around him because he has the gravitas of like a character like Galactus.